show is called Conversation with the CEO. We're excited. It's another episode of Conversation with the CEO. Before we get into it, let's make sure we say the things we need to say with you guys. We're here to help you grow, to help you learn, to be a better person, and just have more insight on what you're trying to do and all those decisions that you're about to make. Okay, so that's why we talk with so many wonderful different kinds of folks, and we love to find companies and CEOs, presidents that are doing companies that are connected to that future growth, because they see some things that we don't see. I mentioned in one of my recent videos, the thing about the guys like the PayPal mafia, right? All of those guys worked for the same company at one point. That's amazing. So when you think about what they've been able to accomplish all these years later, having been under one roof, they kind of saw some things that a lot of people, would have wished they seen. So let's go. We got some, speaking of that, the cloud is huge.
Hey, yo, something's going on over at our website. You want to go check it out. I promise you. Head to the linchpinbunchinc.com. We're doing something extra special. What we're excited to offer you is called the Everybody versus Wall Street package. Yes, it's going to have a new version of our audio book. It's also going to have a couple of videos. It's going to have information that we haven't shared, stuff that's important to investing that you're going to really, really appreciate. Here's what's cool about it. You get to pick your own price. You get to tell us what you want to pay for it, okay? Whatever you give us, we're going to give you access to it, all right? That's what we want to do. We want to sow into your life. We want to change your life. We want to make a difference here, okay? So we're excited. You're ready to start trading. You're ready to start investing. You're ready to start growing. So go ahead and take advantage of that right now. Pick your own price.
The cloud is huge in the future growth. If you don't know it, Amazon makes a lot of its money based on the cloud. A lot of people think it's just the selling and the buying of products, but it's that level of cloud that they do. They make quite a bit of money on it. And we're talking to a company that focuses on the cloud, but they focus on the cloud in a whole different way. And it's called the Cloud Media Center, which puts advertising, content creators, and all of these people in the same place and kind of help them kind of meet each other and have some successes. And they've done all the work, and we're excited to have them so we can learn a little bit more about that and how it can help us in our businesses. With us is the president of the company, Jay Handline. How you doing, Jay?
I am great, Antonio. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you, man. I know you got a quite a bit of information that you could share with us. I like the fact y'all care about content creation, and you understand, like, over the years how important it has become. We always used to say it, but I don't think we meant it as much back then. We was like, content is king. We used to say that, but we didn't really, we heard it, but now the way things are, it seems to be content is king. What do you say to that?
Well, I say what we used to say was cash is king.
Yeah.
And what we have come to learn is content is cash. So in the same regard, yes, we believe that you have to start out with good quality content. And in this video distribution space that we're in, if you can't start there, then you can't gain any traction at all. So content, in fact, is king, and we lead with that on everything that we say and we do.
Okay. So what have you noticed in this season? Especially let's talk post-pandemic. I don't know if it's post really, but hey, let's talk post-pandemic. What do you see in what you've noticed in terms of what's actually happening with content? I just recently noticed that AT&T got rid of they didn't get rid of it, but they split off from DirecTV. It was called AT&T TV. Then they switched it over back to DirecTV Stream. What's happening in that world of content and content creation?
Yeah, so digital delivery systems are shifting on a regular basis, and so you'll see a lot of roll-up platforms that will emerge, and a lot of breakup of existing networks that are selling off different divisions as everyone scrambles to figure out what is going to be their place in the delivery system of the future. So content from our perspective, as it relates to streaming digital media, is changing rapidly. Where we had a typical platform and delivery system in the past that was primarily focused around what we do with video distribution technology. We're now paying more and more attention to how we can get in the game with OTT platforms and CTV platforms. So our focus has moved from short form video to long form video. Content obviously makes up both delivery systems. And as we move and we pivot, the rest of the industry does as well. So I think everyone's looking for where their sweet spot is. The big conglomerates like AT&T and Warner Brothers and others will try to figure out what their future state is going to look like and try to make those calculated moves today.
Let me ask you this. How do you work with companies like Roku, the up and coming giant? So what's your role within a Roku and how it's changed the game?
Well, so we will, you have to really understand Cloud Media Center to answer that question.
Okay.
So you did a really good job. As a matter of fact, one of the primary roles in my position is to be able to identify good talent. And Antonio, I like your presentation. We would love to see somebody like you or you as a part of the CMC team. The other part of that is identification of not only good quality content, but the acquisition of that content. So within our platform, you did a good overview relative to we're trying to serve three different verticals. One is the advertising vertical, ad networks in general, big brands that are interested in identifying good quality content that can reach the audience, the target audience that they want to reach with their product line. In our particular vertical, we're focused on sports video content today. So we're looking for content creators or content producers that are producing sports content on a regular basis that is fresh, it's relevant, it's exciting, it's dynamic, it gets the attention of the fan base, if you will. So basically, you're really what you're doing is you're speaking to the heart and soul of fans by the millions across the country that are all interested in their favorite teams, their favorite players. Some fans go back to following athletes and players from the time that they were in junior high school, through college, and then into the pros. And there's an allegiance there. And that allegiance from that fan base is very, very attractive to big brands and to advertising networks. So the identification of that fan base and being able to reach that fan base with quality content that really spins their wheel is an important part of what we do. The other part is when we are able to identify that content and then bring an advertiser to the table that will commit to an advertising campaign, is then make that available to our distribution network. And that's the publishing side. So that was the third leg of the stool that you didn't quite get to when you were doing your overview, but it's an important part because the Rokus of the world, if you will, and the Sports Illustrateds, the USA Today's, Barstool Sports, Bleacher Report, all of those publishers that are making sports video content available to their user base, to their audience, is how we get the distribution that we're seeking. And so whether it's a Roku going through their network, whether it's on the short form video side or on the long form video side, whether it's through one of the networks or publishing platforms that I described, or through an OTT or CTV platform, like you mentioned with Roku, that's who we work with and that's who we affiliate with. Okay.
And let me ask you this then, like, there's so many directions that one can go and so many specific places. Where are you noticing that that's becoming important to the advertiser? That like things are so narrow now in terms of the kind of customer, because you can get down to the specifics at this point?
Yeah, very, very insightful and spot on. So analytics are the differentiator today. So we all talk about target marketing, but being in geofencing and really being able to cull it down to the barest common denominator, but being able to identify our target market wherever they may be whenever we can reach them on whatever device that they're utilizing is incredibly important. And the only way to get there is through analytics. So our data capturing capability as it relates to our analytics engine, one of the important parts of our technology is we built a proprietary media player that connects back to our analytics engine that is able to go ahead and do the data capture that we need in order to be able to give those metrics back, not only to the advertiser, but also to the publisher. So the advertiser wants to identify a user base or a fan base that exists in some portion of the country. It could be state specific, it could be regional, and relative to that, there is a profile of that individual consumer, if you will, that they're trying to reach. And it could be male or female, depending upon the product that they're trying to make available and that they're trying to promote. It could be specific to a certain sport that they know that if they reach that fan base, and that is going to be the profile that is going to be most interested in the brand that they're trying to promote. They also know what their buying habits are through the analytics that we're able to attain relative to what they purchase, when they purchase it, how they purchase it. So as we continue to slice and dice the data, we're getting more granular in understanding the consumer relative to where they live, how they live, how they shop, where they shop, what brands that they're interested in, what their psychographics are, getting down to that level, and what sort of devices they use to actually watch and or absorb the information that's important to them. So the content is part of that. So if they're a mobile user and they use apps or they are more desktop oriented, or they're actually watching and gathering their information through streaming media on their TV, whichever way that they absorb that content, we need to know what that is. And we also need to know, and we have the capability of knowing, that if there are 4 members of a family in 4 different rooms, and they're all on different devices, and they're all absorbing content and information across those devices differently, can we bifurcate that promotional campaign such that we can reach each one of those individuals wherever they may be, whether it's at home or at work, on whatever device they're using, and deliver a separate message to them, a separate piece of content with a separate piece of advertising, such that we can promote and deliver the needs of the advertiser, get the content that the individual wants to receive, meet the needs of the content creator, and at the same time meet the needs of the publisher. So it's pretty complex. But to answer your question relative to how far down do you get at a granular level of trying to do that target marketing, it's becoming it's a real art form today, and the platforms that are out there today that can pare it down to that level, they're going to go ahead and run to the front of the line.
Okay. That's a great answer. I'm glad you shared it with me. I want to compare something. I want to see where you guys fit for Cloud Media Center. So Facebook over the years has developed into that, and one of the reasons why it's so successful and it continues to grow in its market share is because the small businesses are starting to see some actual help in using them as an advertiser. So they're continuing to pay that money to target those people, and they're making enough money to continue to do that. So it's become effective. Are you guys like taking that to another level from a media standpoint and within the cloud? Is that what's happening? And tell me if I'm off. What is the next? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're actually spot on. This is a discussion that we have internally all the time, that if you think about social media, the ecosystem, if you will, you mentioned Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. LinkedIn is entering into the parade relative to
another group from the PayPal mafia, by the way.
There you go. So you might think that when I describe to you and to the rest of everyone that's listening today that we're three-dimensional. Those three verticals: advertising, producing, and publishing. And that sounds B2B, right?
Right.
But in reality, it doesn't really matter if you're a business, even at the business level, we are all consumers. And how we communicate with each other, we communicate with a consumer sort of a baseline, if you will.
Okay.
So that communication touch point, whether it's through Facebook or through Instagram or through Twitter or through LinkedIn, those are vehicles that are incredibly powerful today. So such that in order for us to get our message out there, and in order for us to drive eyeballs to the distribution platforms, to the publisher sites, we need to let the consumer know what we're doing, where we're doing, and how we're doing it. Okay. So they're incredibly important to us as a part of the business ecosystem that is in our particular case, in the sports video digital distribution industry. Mm-hmm. We are quite closely tied to the social media ecosystem as it relates to promotion of everything we do.
Okay. Speaking of, like, does a company like yours come up with the concept that Peacock just did, where they put Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart together as commentators for the Olympics? Is that?
By the way, look at that horse.
Did you? Oh, the horse crip walking, cuz. You see that? On the set. That's gangsters of up. Hey! Oh, cuz. Oh, look at this, cuz.
Because, that was a sports perspective. Obviously, neither one of them necessarily played the game, but it became a pretty good hit, and people really enjoyed it. Is your company one of the companies that tends to see that and notice that could actually work?
Yeah, that's a great point. And frankly, thank you for that opportunity to talk about this, because we're a technology platform. So far today, I've talked to you about our sports-centric focus. And for this side of the equation, all things sports all day long. However, we also can pivot through the utilization of our technology platform and support another idiom, if you will, and that could be entertainment and lifestyle. So you brought up the Snoop Dogg, Kevin Hart example. Well, as you know, Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart are both sports enthusiasts and athletes of their own. They've both played sports. Not everybody knows that. They might look at them first as musicians and comedians and or entertainers and not know about the sports background. Right. So as you continue to peel away the onion skin, you find out more about the individual, and they're great ambassadors to cross the bridge and bring sports together with entertainment. That's not a wide chasm. Mm-hmm. A lot of entertainment lifestyle crosses over to sports, and athletes go back and forth. We actually have worked with a couple of different producers right now that are doing things of the same sort of approach, utilizing comedians to do interviews of athletes that adds sort of a lighter approach to sort of like if we could afford Kevin Hart to promote some of our content segments, that's a home run, right?
Home run, huh?
Yeah, everybody loves Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
What a great ambassador for both the entertainment side and the sports side. But we're doing that at a different level with another comedian who's introducing and in interviewing well-known athletes. Again, if I can get a well-known athlete that has a fan base that is statewide, regional, or national, and then have an introduction of somebody that brings a lighter approach to it, that has name recognition and maybe comes from that entertainment space, that's a marriage that's made in heaven.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: when we're thinking about our futures, whether we're consumer businesses, what should we be focusing on as these dynamics continue to change, and we're trying to figure out how to navigate through this quick change so that we can protect ourselves, so we're not left behind in the process?
From a business perspective or from a consumer perspective?
Both. I'm asking for both. I guess consumers don't care as much, but businesses definitely do.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So I'm going to go back to something you mentioned. That's post-pandemic, but let's take it back a year and a half.
Okay.
And pre-pandemic.
Okay.
And in this technology space, there was a delivery system for what we're doing right now. Telecommunications, video communications.
Mm-hmm.
And although video communications had been around for a decade, it wasn't an easily adoptable form of communication for business at large throughout the country. We knew it was there. There were different players in the space that were making video communication available, but it really took the pandemic to make video communication a necessary part of our daily life.
Okay.
So there was a paradigm shift at that point in time where those of us that had been in technology for the past decade, we knew that it was a valuable form of communication, and we were dedicated to that delivery system and helping it, nurturing it, trying to bring it along so that big business in general would adapt to it and adopt it as a major form of communication. So now what we know today is that instead of having a production studio where you bring your guest across the country so that they can sit down in the studio with you and you can do the interview face to face, it's not necessary. It's become more acceptable, not only from a business perspective, to be able to do interviews like this virtually, as opposed to face to face. And why has it become acceptable from a business perspective? Well, it's more cost effective,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also been accepted by the consumer. So early on, the consumer might have looked at interviews like this and said, well, they're doing the Zoom thing, or they're doing the Google Meet thing, or they're doing the WebEx thing, or whatever the delivery system is. And it took a while for them to adapt, but as consumers, I'm a consumer, did adapt. Now it's natural to me, and technology will continue to evolve like this as we introduce new features, new functionality, and we as consumers will be hesitant at first. Not everybody is a techie out there that runs to find the new thing that they can add on to their delivery, their home entertainment center that will give them more capability than they are. I'm going to do a one-off here, but I have a son-in-law who's so excited about picking up his 82-inch new television screen, not because of the optics of the television screen, but because of the capability of the intelligence within the platform itself.
Oh, okay.
So he's all about the technology. And so more features and functionality are going to come our way. We as consumers, we're more often than not better served to learn how to utilize that technology and become familiar with that technology and get comfortable with that technology. The more comfortable we become, the better we will be served.
Absolutely. One of the things I think when it comes to technology, I've learned, and I credit my grandmother for this. My grandmother would always say, go ahead and get the latest thing, because if you don't, you're going to have to buy that thing all over again, because they're going to make sure that thing doesn't function down the road. And it seems over the years, that's what happened. I recall you could get a TV, right? It didn't matter. All you cared about Was it a beautiful picture? And could you see it? You know, then it went from, okay, is that television, is it a smart TV, right? And then they'd be like, yeah, it's smart. It's okay. And then it went down to, well, that was missing Bluetooth. Well, if Bluetooth was in the original TV, and if you would have paid the price for that, you wouldn't have to buy a new TV. So the Bluetooth capabilities kicked in, right? And then the gaming came in, right? Then you didn't have enough movement to keep up with, you know. But if you had just bought that TV originally, you could have kept it for 10 years. Is that still the case in terms of the way technology is unfolding, or we're going to be still forced to buy something new, regards to how late the model is?
Well, what will happen is as we continue to evolve, more and more of the delivery systems will become more and more compact. We will absorb those components that used to be add-ons, whether it was the game box, the Xbox. We haven't even talked about the gamers. I mean, the gamers
whole nother world, right?
World. Yeah. No, I mean, it's important. It's because it's a part of this ecosystem. But all that will be self-contained within the device, whether it's our handheld device or it's our at-home entertainment center. All the associated components will be packaged inside of the 82-inch television, by example. You know, the capability will exist there. We won't have all the additional components, and that will continue to evolve. And we'll become more compact, we'll become more portable, and everything that we've experienced. So, you know, it's interesting, the leap that we've taken in technology from, if you did a timeline 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, at the speed that we're progressing.
Yeah.
What happened 30 to 20 and then 20 to 10 and in the past 10 years, it's just phenomenal. So we need to go ahead and buckle up and get ready for the next 10 years, because it's going to be fast and furious.
I'm telling you, listen, I'm already thinking about, and I want to ask you about this, because I'm thinking about the metaverse, right? You know, someone positioned it and said, you know, our getting away from the real world was going to the internet, right? And giving us a break. Now they come to the real world to get a break from the metaverse, because they spend so much time navigating in that and building friendships and social medias and audio social and Roblox and game components. How is that? How is your company? What are you guys talking about when it comes to that kind of thing? Are we too far ahead, or is this really right here, right now?
I don't. You know, so there's always going to be the naysayers, right? That are saying we're too technology centric and focused, and it's taking away from our quality of life. And for some individuals that might be the case, but for the vast majority of individuals, it's not. And from a business perspective, you know, when we started out this discussion about, you know, what's in the head of the CEO or the president of a company.
Yeah.
You know, now we're getting relatively philosophic around other dynamics. But if I bring it back to the business side of it,
let's go there.
Yeah, I'm really focused on what is our company all about, and what are we trying to deliver. We don't believe that anything that we're trying to deliver has a negative effect or an impact on a consumer individual. We believe that there is a appetite for sports video content that we're focused on delivering. We know that there is a segment of the business world that wants to package promotional campaigns attached to that sports video content. And we know that there are publishers that are out there that can reach the masses, that will deliver that important sports video content on a regular basis, such that they can be consumed. So we're a vehicle to help all that happen. So from a technology perspective, what we're trying to do is create the next generation technology platform. And every day that goes by, there's another vendor that's out there that's building the next version. And it will keep improving, and will continue to be new features and functionality as it relates to that delivery system. And we're focused in that. So that's our business. We want to be the best that we can possibly be at what it is that we do. And we want to provide tools, dashboard configurations, features and functionality, analytics. We're all about artificial intelligence and machine learning as it relates to what we can provide to our customers. That's what we do, and we do it very well, and we're going to continue to focus on that. And then along the way, we get to be the beneficiaries of the product that we're actually making a part of in that delivery system. We think that's a good thing. And the better the user experience, I talked about our proprietary media player. Why is that important? What in the world is that? So when you actually visit your favorite consumer interface to digest video content or information about your sports team, and you click on a video, when that video fires and you want to see good quality video, you want it to load quickly, you don't want to have to wait for it, you want to have a good user experience, just like you do at home. When you turn on your TV, your entertainment center at home, you want to have a good quality picture. You don't want to have to wait for your TV to warm up. You want things instantaneously. Today's world is everything has to be instantaneously. So through our media player, our load speed, it will load in a nanosecond. The delivery of the video is first class quality. We want the consumer to enjoy what they're seeing and not be a grainy, pixelated video that is difficult to consume, if you will. So that's important, and being really focused on what it is that we do and dedicated to making that the best consumer experience possible from a business perspective. That's what we're attempting to do, and we feel like we're providing a necessary next step into that next generation of technology capability back to the consumer.
That sounds great. And who would be your customer? Like who would need to, like, if they're watching us today and they go, I need to check into this company.
Yeah.
Who is that customer, and why would they need to use you guys particularly?
Well, so that's back to the three-legged stool, if you would, Antonio. Is again the advertiser who's listening to this today and said, yeah, this is a group that sounds like they've got it figured out. They've put together the dashboard configurations, all the tools that I need to go ahead and identify. Within our database, we have thousands and thousands of sports video content. So you can sort and search inside of our database to find the sports-centric information that you want to reach the audience that you want. So from an advertising perspective, we want them to know that. So come check out our platform. We'll do a demo for you. We'll take you through the database. You can see the ease of use of the platform, and you can find the sports video content that you're looking for. If you're a content producer and you're out there and you're doing your thing, you're a producer, you have access to Major League Baseball, or you have access to NCAA football. This is your weekend, NCAA football. We're going live, baby. And everybody's excited about it. Well, I want to get some interviews. I want to get some pregame hype. Not everybody in the world wants to see the same coach being interviewed over and over again. They want to see a diversity of coaches or a diversity of players. So there can never be too much content. And so those content producers that are out there, and they're doing it on a geographic basis, right? So in every major metropolitan city, there is a production studio that's going out, and this is what they do. They produce content. How do they get remunerated? They get remunerated by making that content available to the people that can push it out there to the public, the publishers.
Yeah.
So they're looking for distribution. We can provide them with distribution. We want to aggregate their content, pull it into our database, and then we have publishers and distribution networks that we're also looking to continue. You can never have enough advertisers, you can never have enough content creators, and you can never have enough publishers. You can always grow your network and your distribution capability, and we're always looking to identify all three legs of the stool that are interested in our technology platform and what makes it whiz bang cool and different, come see us. Let us give you a demo. We'd be glad to walk you through it and let you test drive the platform and see for yourself.
I love it, man. It's one of the reasons why we have you on here. What you're doing is so important. And you're to me, you're spot on in terms of where you need to be, because how much content is out there and how it's growing so fast, and to be able to go to you and meet in the middle, you know what I mean, to get everybody what they want, and everybody ends up happy because of it. Hey, sounds great to me. It's kind of where, you know, in my opinion, it was like when Zoom, when they first went public, and everybody was like, oh, that's cool for the meetings when you need to have those meetings across the country and they can't fly to America or whatever. And then it went from that to everybody was using it. You know what I mean? And you guys seem to be in a place where that's going to be just as important what you guys are putting together as well. And I appreciate you for hanging out with us and sharing that perspective. We always ask everybody the same question. You're president of a company. You know, there's someone who aspires to create something similar to you that impacts the world, that makes change. What do you say to a person who's going to take on that challenge one day and say, hey, I want to do something like what you're doing? What do you say to them?
Well, it's the Wild West out here. And that's the good and the bad about it. You've got to be prepared, depending upon how you're coming in. If you want to get into the technology space, it's moving fast and furious, as we talked about previously. It is the Wild West. You got to be able to keep up with that tempo. There's a heartbeat associated with this that you have to be someone who's driven, somebody who wants to be a part of that, somebody that can move on a dime and can change directions and can understand. If you're coming in at a level where you're actually part of a startup organization, you have to be ready to do a multiple of different things. It's not just about developing the software or the technology or the capability or finding the content. It's also about getting the funding, understanding how you go out and you actually build your dream. You create your executive summary. You go out and pitch your strategy. You go ahead and recruit your investment income, and you start your dream. And it's tough. It's not easy, but you got to be dedicated. As long as you're dedicated and you have a vision. So and it's very much like if we look at the Olympics and think about a number of the athletes that were interviewed relative to what their experience has been as an athlete that got them to where the podium, where they have a silver medal hanging around their neck or a gold or whatever it was, or maybe they didn't even make the podium. It doesn't matter. They had a dream that they wanted to one day make the Olympics. And that journey was not easy. You have to be dedicated. It has to be part of your vision. It has to be something that you're hungry about, that you're dedicated to, that you're passionate about. And whether it's sports or whether it's business, it's technology, if you have that vision, if you have that passion, if you have that commitment and a never say die attitude, it sounds maybe trite, but it's the truth. I can't tell you, Antonio, how many times I'm standing at the plate and I'm thinking I'm facing a fastball pitcher and I got nothing but junk coming at me. Nothing but knuckleballs and screwballs. And you have to adjust on the fly. I'm using a sports idiom.
I love it.
It's true. So that's my word.
I love it. We got a video that we always play, and they're probably gonna stick it up during this one, where it's if you compare yourself to a baseball batter, you go to the Hall of Fame hitting 3 out of 10. So
when you have the greatest hitter succeeding in baseball, they're still failing. In the game of baseball, if you were to get a hit 3 times every 10 at-bats for an entire career, you would be a Hall of Famer.
That's 7 times that you don't even do anything. So keep it focused. I appreciate you, Jay. It's been great, man. Thank you again. We're going to be keeping up with your company and what you guys got going on, and we look forward to talking to you again in the future, man. All right. Anything you want to close us out with? how people can reach you, anything like that, please do that right now for us.
I'd be glad to. I can be reached. It's J Handline, Handline, at Cloud Media Center, or j@cloudmc.us. And I'd love to talk to you. And Antonio, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure.
Oh man, same here, anytime. Well, that wraps up this episode of Conversation with the CEO. Remember, our whole goal here is just to help you learn. If we get some information that you can digest, who knows, one thing can change your life, all right? So always try to learn. When you stop learning, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you die.